Hey everybody, my name's Brad. I'm an alcoholic. Good to see everyone here tonight. Good to be here myself. Real pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight, a good friend of mine that I've gotten to know over the last 6-7 years. I remember Ronald was here, 3-4 years ago, and the church had something going on in this fellowship hall, and that wall was closed right there, and that's all we had, was that little area. Remember that, Ronald? Remember, you're standing over there. I just said we were jammed in there. Just thinking about that. But anyway, it's a pleasure to introduce my friend Ronald. What I know about I know Ronald well. I know he's very involved in his home group down at Rockingham. One of the things you'll probably hear about out of Ron tonight is something I hear out of his mouth all the time, and he shares a lot about gratitude, about the gratitude he has in his life today. Because of his sobriety and what he's found in Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm sure that's going to be part of his message this evening. So if you would, how about a warm primary purpose welcome for Ronald from Rockingham.
Thank you, Brad, for that good introduction. I don't know if I live up to much of that, but I'm Ronald, and I am an alcoholic. And to be honest, that's the most important thing I'm going to tell you tonight. I got to remember that I'm an alcoholic, and I can never ever take another drink. In fact, I fought that stuff. I drank for 52 years before I found, 52 years old before I found Samaritan Colony, and that's been a blessing. And, I just fought it. I really just thought, I didn't know what alcoholism was. Had no idea what alcoholic was, but I knew I liked to drink. I was a country boy, I thought it was just like a drink. I wouldn't have it. I never seen how it was affecting my parents, things I was doing. I lost a wife. I got a kid and 2 grandkids now, but I got those back through this program. And my sobriety date is December the 12th, 2005. That's when I arrived at Samaritan Colony. But I'm going to tell you what, after I got there, my life has got better. It's been a tremendous change. I would never ever tell you I'd go 7 years without a drink. If I can make it to to December the 12th, it'll be 7 years of sobriety. And I'm telling y'all, I was reading in the 24-hour day book that I'm not supposed to get up here to impress no one. But I'm supposed to get up here and tell you from my heart. But I know 2 people in my life I've impressed, my mother and my father. And I'll be forever grateful they've seen me without a drink for 7 years, because they took my wrath. Calling them 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, drunk, wanting money, all that. You know what we do. And I was 60 years old Saturday, and my mother will be 81 tomorrow, and I'm going to celebrate her birthday. And it's just amazing. I've still got both of my parents in my life. And, I'm totally blessed that they've been able to see me not without a drink for 7 years. And I was born and raised in Richmond County to, like I say, 2 wonderful parents. My father was strict, hard worker. He was a mechanic. And my mother worked in the hosiery mill. And I'm Southern Baptist, went to church Sunday morning, Sunday at 11, and Sunday night and Wednesday. I was made to go to church till I was 16. Then they told me after that, it's you on your own. And, believing the Lord has been good to me. And But I took my first drink at 16. I was with my brother. And we was at this bar, and I was 16 years old, and I didn't know I could order a drink. And I went in there, and I always wanted me a Budweiser. And I had a little 8-ounce Budweiser, and I drank it, and didn't nothing happen. And really, I said, man, it tasted awful. I just said to you, man, it tasted awful. But I liked what it did to me. It just gave me that relax. I'd always feared my father. He was tough. He was a good man. I understand today he don't know nothing about alcoholism, and not at all. Nothing. He just don't understand why I was drank, what I did. And he said he just didn't understood. You know, I've talked to him since I got sober 7 years. He said, it don't matter. You're doing good, you know. And, good parents, raised, went to school. I made grades. I made just enough to get by. That's how it was for me. I never had set no goals. I didn't want to go to college. I just did just enough to get by. And then started going to school, dating. I went to work, the cotton mill. And after I was dating my girlfriend a little while, she become pregnant. And like then, I was just drinking like Wednesday or Friday and Saturdays. And not a whole lot because of my father. He was strict and I was still staying at home. And, but like, the girl I married was Doris Ann, and she got, like I say, she got pregnant and her father come to my house. Wanting to know when I was going to marry her. And back then, you know, didn't do like they do today. They just go and do like, you know, he was pretty hot. And he's a good man too. He's a big leader in the church and all, and me and him are real good friends today. I don't see his daughter. We don't have no connection, but he's just a good guy. And I won't go marry her. And my father told me, man, don't marry that girl. Y'all can't get along. But they come down and her and the daddy come to the house, and my daddy was going on a fishing trip. He loved to fish. And my mother said, look, you need to go marry this girl. And that's the first time I'd ever seen a $100 bill. She gave me a $100 bill and let me take the car and said, you go down to Bentonville, South Carolina, and get married for $10. And we went down to the Justice of the Peace, and she was already 6 months pregnant. My mother said, you take the rest of the money and go on to Myrtle Beach. And I'm going to be honest, I was drinking, I was immature. I had no way I could be a father and a husband and those things. I'm going to be honest, I never ever could. I get paid on Friday, I went to the bar. I went to the poker house, love to gamble. And I'm going to tell you, I go on Friday and I broke by Saturday. I mean, and I did that for a long, long time. I just could not go pay bills and keep up a household. And I'm going to tell you why one of the major reasons I'm here sober today. I went to Samaritan College and no one had ever told me this. And I'm going to tell you, this has never hit me so good. Ronald, your life is unmanageable. My mother and father didn't know nothing about alcoholism. They didn't know how to help me or know. And I didn't either. I didn't know I was alcoholic until I got to Samaritan College just 7 years ago. And they told me my life, and that has been it has stuck with me because that was the total truth. I could manage nothing. Couldn't manage my paycheck. Couldn't marry a home. Nothing. And me and the girl got married, and we couldn't get along. And to put it in short, I left. I just up and left. She told me I couldn't live in that town with her. She took me to court. We'd go to court. She'd drop charges, go through all that. But at that time, I was drinking, like I say, on weekends, and I was working at the mill. So I got why I couldn't get along with her, and I was having a hard time with my parents, and so I'm going to do what a good drunk does. I left. I got in my car, and I left. I got mad at my parents and mad with her. I'd had a little boy. We'd had a little boy. And I'm going to just say, by this program today, me and him are good friends. We friends. I did not raise him. Her parents did a very good job. He owns his own business and all today, and I'm forever grateful. And I went to them and made amends to them, and I wish I'm going to make some restitution to be able to help them because they raised a child, and that's a lot of money to raise a child. And but I left and went to New Orleans. I heard you could get a good job down there, and I wanted to party. I know you party in New Orleans. That's one thing I understand today. My biggest trigger was my brain. They tell you in AA it's either money or women. But I ain't got neither one, so I'm all right with that. But my brain always told me, man, you need to drink. That's the truth. I had to train my brain in this program. I can't drink. I know today I can't drink. And I have got to keep that in the back of my mind and remember, Ronald, you cannot pick up that first Budweiser because it's going to be 2 cases. At the end of my drive, I was drinking 2 cases of beer a day. I loved it. I mean, it did everything for me, what I needed, relax, whatever. But I went to New Orleans, and I didn't have no job, nothing. I ain't told nobody nothing. And I was going down the street one day, and the guy asked me if I wanted a job. And I said, yeah. I was working in a little labor pool, going in there and work. You'd go do odd jobs. But I was working in the Jefferson Hospital. You'd go clean up, whatever. They pay you $25, $30, enough to get a room or a flop house. That's how I was living. And, you know, just getting by. But I was going down the road one day, and the guy asked me if I wanted to go to work on the oil rigs. And I said, look, I don't know nothing about no oil rig. I mean, have no kind of training. He said, you don't need nothing. I said, well, when you want me to go to work? He said, right now. He had the uniforms and all in his vehicle, and he took me to Venice, Louisiana. And they had a heliport there and what they called, where they had the boats. I spent the night there, and I got on a helicopter that morning to go out to the oil rig. Man, this thing going, man, it's just going, I was a little scared, but out there everywhere was oil rigs. I could not believe it. I mean, they were just everywhere. And we landed down, man, this thing was like a Hilton. It was stainless steel, had a pool table. They played poker at night. We fished, and it was all guys on there. Everybody got along. This was probably in the 80s. I was a young man, feeling good, man. And I'll tell you what I did, man. On the first day I seen Bourbon Street, man, the girls was, you go down the street and there's just one bar after one bar after one bar. And they had them, they'd come out of the windows and swing in and out on the street. And I was in heaven. I mean, there was no curfew. You could drink 24 hours a day. You come out of the Catholic church, go right to the bar, drink a beer, and go back to church. I mean, that's how it was. I mean, nothing closed. They had no blue law. I know here a church can't be within so much of a drinking establishment can be open at certain hours. But there was no law. And like I say, I was in heaven. And left there, I did send my child support home because I didn't want the law on me. And then in a couple of years, my wife sent me my divorce. I ain't filed for no divorce. She sent me a divorce. And so it didn't cost me much to get married. It didn't cost me much to get out of it. And you know, I went on and I never thought about my child. I was sending money. I called my parents when I needed them. I remember calling them one morning. My daddy said, boy, do you remember calling us last night? I called him at 4 o'clock drunk. He said, well, I'll tell you one thing. I wanted $100. He said, but I remember the address where to send that money to. And he said, you were so drunk. But he was telling me some of the things I did, and I don't remember. I was a blackout drinker. And so went to New Orleans, got a good job, doing good. Finally, I moved up to a cook on the oil rigs. I was making $40,000 a year. And put it, you know, kind of a short story. I stayed down there 20 years, drinking, gambling. The worst thing ever happened, casinos coming down there. And drinking and gambling don't mix. So like I say, I worked for many years and just give my money to those people, and that's just the truth. I just partied, and all selfish, self-centered, all about me the whole time, all the time. But the best thing that happened to me, I met this girl in the bar one night, and she was drinking these White Russians, but we was there, and she might drink 1 or 2 all night. And we started dating, and she was a barmaid, and I lived with her 8 years. And the best thing that happened to me, really, I wish I'd have listened to her. She introduced me to AA. She knew I had a problem. Because I never was mean to a lady. I just didn't pay the bills. I just didn't come home. You know, that's what, I just didn't come home. I started drinking, went and did what I wanted to do, and spent my money on me. That's the way I lived. But she told me, listen, we've been together 8 years. If I'm leaving if you don't go to AA, that's what she told me. And I said, well, I'll try. But I didn't know, but later, her father and brother had died of alcoholism. But she said, AA is good. So she took me one night, and I was drinking. And I don't know nothing about it. I don't remember nothing, but I went. I mean, I didn't say nothing to nobody. It must have been 8 or 10 people there. It's a little small town out of New Orleans, and I wanted no part of it. And so she left. She left me, and I really started drinking. Like I say, I have tried marijuana and cocaine and all that, but it just wasn't for me. Marijuana made me hungry, and I didn't need nothing to make me hungry and stuff like that, but I tried cocaine. I just couldn't afford it. I didn't just tell you I didn't like it. I just couldn't afford it. I could drink a lot of Budweiser and that stuff going up my nose. I saved my money for beer, but like I say, I kept on, and I stayed down there, and 20 years drinking, carrying on. I'd come home I'd give me a big paycheck and act like a big shot, come see my child, do those things, go right back to my drinking. But it was I got 2 DWIs while I was in New Orleans. I got out of those. It wasn't back then. It wasn't such a big deal. $100, $200. I always drove and drank. Always, with or without driver license, I drove and drank. And so my mother called me. I did keep me a little apartment, and I had a good job and had a good boss lady. Man, she, like I say, she kept me working. She knew how I was. I didn't show up a lot of time at work, but some of the times on the rigs, you could go out to other jobs. You go all the time. And I love the work out there. You work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, then you'd be off a week. So I basically worked the week and drank the week. And sometimes a lot more than that. But, and I never said that I had a problem. Never ever thought I had a problem. But my father got sick, and that was a blessing. I think this is the Lord looking out for me. And my mother said, you need to come home. And this is the truth. She had to send me money to get home. I was making $40,000 a year. I drank, throw it away in the casinos and women, whatever. Wherever it went, I don't know. You didn't have to take it from me. I'd give it to you when I started drinking. I mean, money didn't mean nothing. And I was always, it was coming easy. It was just too easy. But I come home and went to work in a cotton mill. My father had open heart surgery right up here at Moore County. First it had the stents, and then he had to have open heart surgery. And since then he's had to have a pacemaker and the defibrillator. And only through this program the last 7 years I've been there to help and be with my parents. But that's the only way that I get to that. But I come home and I went right back to the same cycle. I went to work down the cotton mill. And I'm going to tell you what my alcoholism did. In 1998, I was drinking and I went down, the bars here closed, so I drove to South Carolina. And I went, this is when they had the video poker games. Going down there, they had beer, and I was playing video poker. And I stayed there all night, and they told me I had to leave. So I went out in my car and laid down. They told me I had to get off the property. And man, I was drunk. Been drunk all day, all night. And so I left, and I run into a tree. Tree run into me. A tree run into me, and when I woke up, the state trooper had me taking me to the hospital, and I had me in the hospital, and the guy, I got a plate and 4 screws in this knee and another screw to put in my ankle. And I wish I'd say I didn't drink again, but I did. And I had to call my parents to come get me. And I had to live with my parents 6 months to help me get recuperated. And I'm going to tell, that was hell looking at my daddy every day. That was the toughest thing I've ever done. I mean, he's tough, and he didn't understand alcoholism, but me and him got in an argument, and I left there walking with a cast on my leg, and I could not wait to get me a can of beer. I went straight to the convenience store and got me something to drink. I hadn't had a beer in 6 months, staying at my parents. And so I got all that. My brother come got me. He come got me this time. And I went and stayed at his house, got recuperated, did what I was supposed to do, went back to work, went right back to that same cycle. Drinking, carrying on. I just could not stop. And so then in 2002, I got my first DWI in North Carolina. and I blew 18. And they stopped me there at the food line and pulled me over and took me to jail, but I knew the jailer. And after the state trooper left, he let me go. He said, you want me to call your daddy? I said, heck no. I said, can I call a cab? He said, yeah, you can call a cab. And just insane, in the same night, they made me park my car at the food line. I got in the cab, went back and got in that car and went and got drunk. I was sick. And I mean, I'm telling you, that's how I was drinking. And I was so worried about my parents seeing it in the paper. And let me tell you, if you do anything in Richmond County, it's going to be in the paper. So the next morning, I just went down there and told my parents. But nobody, my parents, nobody ever asked me, you think you got a problem? I mean, really, I just, they just let, maybe, my daddy told me, look, if you go drink, work all week, go drink, go get a DUI. Don't let tell you got a problem. But, I didn't see it. That's how much alcohol was doing for me. I just didn't want to give it up. That's what I know today. But, got that straightened out. And so I went to court on that DUI, and I blew 18. And I didn't know I had to put one of those breathalyzers on my car. And I want to say a few things about that. It's the worst punishment I ever had in my life. Nothing has never ever embarrassed me, nothing more in my life. I didn't know all that stuff. I get in it, I get somewhere and it wouldn't crank. It'd be 15 minutes, several times. I had to wait till a technician come from Federal to get that car cranked. And I was not drinking. I knew better to drink in the car. They said mustard, Listerine. I didn't know all that. I like Listerine. I go over Listerine. But I get in my car and it would not go. And I was, I was down at my parents' house and the car wasn't cranking. It was Christmas. And it was so embarrassing. I bit the gas pump, it wouldn't crank, and I'd be down there, that thing wouldn't do nothing. The red light would come on or something. I mean, they need to work on that stuff because it's the worst punishment. But I went through 24-hour community service. That last DUI, I wish I'd say I hadn't drank. I would not drink no more. But I'm telling you, they took me through the ringer. Probably $8,000 or $10,000 it cost me, but I got through it. I got the thing off my car, but I still drank. Went back to work, got to going good, and here in 2005, in September, I went to work, got paid, and the next morning I got up and said, shoot, I ain't going to work, I'm going to play golf. I went and got me a 12-pack of beer and drove down to Laurinburg and started playing golf. Drank that beer, I said, shoot, I'm going on to the beach. And during the 6 months I was at my parents', I didn't know I was getting a disability check because I hadn't worked. My parents had saved that money, and I had saved up about $10,000. And I had it in the bank account, so I said, shoot, I'm going to ride down to the beach. And that was in September of 2005. And I drank till December the 12th of 2005. I drank 3 solid months every day. I'd go to the bar in the morning, and then at night I'd go to happy hour, and then I'd go get some beer, and I did that constantly for 3 solid months. And I drove every day. How in the world something didn't happen, get killed or hurt someone else? I understand that today. Other people I could have hurt. But I ain't called my parents. I had my birthday and Thanksgiving during that time. And the last couple weeks of my drinking, I started praying. I was drinking every day, staying in a motel room, going out, doing what we do. And I said, Lord, help me. I knew I was getting tired of drinking, but I didn't know how to quit it or what to do. And I just started praying. I said, Lord, help me. And the morning of December the 12th, 2005, I got up. I would usually get up and drink a Budweiser. And I said, shoot, man, I'm hungry. I'm going to go get me a Bojangles biscuit. And at the 4-way stoplight was my brother. And he pulled me over, him and his wife, and he said, don't you think you need some help? And I laid my head on the steering wheel, and just like this little shining light come on my shoulder, like an angel. Said, "You're going to be all right." And just whole serenity come over me. And I told my brother, I said, "Yeah, I need some help today." He said, "That's what I wanted to hear." And we come back to Rockingham, and I went to mental health. See if I could get some help, what I needed to do. I was ready, whatever they wanted me to do. Inpatient, outpatient, whatever. And they told me about Samaritan Colony, that it was a 28-day program. And I said, that's what I want. Because I wanted to get away from all of it. You know, I was really just embarrassed the way I was living, what I was doing, the way I was treating my family, my kids. And I said, that's what I want to do. And the first day I went out there, Robert Smith was out there, and I said, I knew Robert. I drank, partied with Robert, and I said, "Robert, what you doing out here?" He said, "I've been out here, I'm a counselor. I've been sober 20 years. I said, "Man," and I thought I was, that Robert was worse than me. That was when we drank, and we gambled together and all that, and I said, "Darn, man, if he can do this, I can do this." From right away, when I changed my life and got in AA, my life changed. When I surrendered, my life changed. But I went to Samaritan Colony, and I said, "Lord, I want to do what they asked me to do." And I went to the meetings, and like I said, and they told me back there that day in that room, they said, "Your life is unmanageable." I don't know, for some reason that hit me. I said, "Man, I'm going to do this. I can do this." I said, I got to do this. And so I stayed there 28 days. And I was going to go to the halfway house here in Aberdeen. But I was there during Christmas and New Year's. My parents wanted me to not go till after Christmas. I said, I'm going now. And they told me that's the best Christmas I ever give them. The child sober. And me too. And they're real good to you down there during Christmas. And I'm still there. So, but I went there, and I was going to go to the halfway house up here, and there was no beds open. And so Harold told me they had the trailer out there. He told me move over there. And Harold, been good to me, give me a place to live. And so I went over there, and a boy that worked at Pinehurst number 2 in the kitchen knew I worked in the kitchen, and I'd done lost my job at the mill. He got me a job right away. I went right to work. Started going to meetings. I got a temporary sponsor. That didn't work. I ain't gonna say too much about that, but the reason I'm sober is my home group. I went to everything with my home group. I am so grateful for my home group. There was 6 or 8 of us. Now we have about 18 since I come. We've been there. We're growing, and I'm grateful for that. But I went over there. Went to work, and one day I was out at Walmart. They didn't pay you much up there at Pinehurst, washing dishes, cleaning. It didn't make no difference to me. I was glad to see that kitchen every day. I was determined to do what I had to do, not to drink. Whatever it took, I was going to do. I told her, I said, I don't care what I got to do. And an old timer told me, he said, "I'm going to tell you one thing, Ronald. Whatever AA asks you to do, just do it." He said, "Don't question it, just do it. I'm here tonight. I don't say I wanted to speak. I'm supposed to do this. I'm going to do it." They told me in my home group I needed to be the GSR. I didn't know what that was, going to these conventions and assemblies, but I did it. I ain't saying no, man. This is working for me. I enjoy being sober. I enjoy having a driver license. I got a credit card and a checking account, and I got that through AA. I never had none of that. I put my money in the bank. I took my money to the bar. You don't have to do that. You don't have to live like that. But like I say, I went to Colony, and I stayed there, and through that I got my home group there. I was there, I just would go, do whatever I had to do. But the cook got sick, and she's passed on now, but Harold come over to me, he knew I'd cook, and asked me if I wanted a job there at the Colony, and I was living there. So, I went there, I ended up with a job and a home and sobriety. So I knew the Lord had been looking out for me. When I asked for help, he sent me in the right direction. Because there's no way I could ever not drink till I got in AA. And they told me, man, you're going to be going to these meetings with other drunks. Man, it works. I've met the most nicest people in the world here. I have real friends now instead of friends that just want to go drink and do, what we do. And I play in golf tournaments. I'm invited to go out, eat. And but when all this happened, I went to make amends to my ex-wife. Because, like I say, they told me I need to make these amends. And that's probably the hardest thing I've done. But I called her up and I told her would she meet me at Shoney's that I would like, make amends and tell her it's not nice staying out all night, not paying the bills. Because the old timer said, you get that off, let that go. And the Sunday morning I went and made amends to my parents. Me and my mama cried all day, but my daddy just sat there. But, I told them about all the time, stealing. I stole some old coins from them one time and went and cashed it in for whatever it was worth. And I told them everything I'd ever took. Boy, my dad's just holding his head down. They knew anyway. They knew who had took it. And I have a good relationship. My brother, I told him, you saved my life. I hope if my brother ever needs me, I can come be there for him. Because when he showed up that morning, it just said, they love me. I always thought that I was the black sheep of the family. No one cared about me, and I'm totally wrong. Man, they just wanted, to help me, but I'm just grateful the Lord sent some help. And life is good today. I've made amends to my parents. The ex-girl in Louisiana, if I could ever get back there, I'd like to make amends to her because she was good to me. And she knew I had a problem, but I didn't want to accept it. I wish back then I would have, but I didn't. And I can't cry over spilled milk. But the biggest thing this program is giving my child and my grandchildren back. I have a little grandboy 4 and one 8. And I took them to Disney World. That's what I do with my money today. I mean, that's a blessing to see them 2 little boys when they sing that castle. It was, that's the blessing of this program. I took them to the beach, Carowinds. I took them to races, football games. I mean, I do something good with my money today. And I have a nice car to drive. And, Samaritan Colony has really been good to me. And the people in AA, the program. There ain't much more else I'd say, but I've been blessed. I know today I've been blessed. And the Lord's been good to me. AA's been good to me. I'm glad everyone that's here tonight has helped me stay sober today. And God bless. Thank you.